After transmigrating into an ABO story, I found myself playing the role of the Scum alpha. The system had only one directive for me: follow the plot. Ruthlessly torment the Omega protagonist. Break him, shatter his pride, and grind his spirit into dust. Only then, in his most pitiful, degraded state, could he receive salvation from the story's noble alpha lead. I, being a rule-abiding contributor of serialized web novels, naturally committed myself to the task with professionalism. So when the system told me to engage in domestic violence, I brought out the whip, but only to tease. When the system demanded I imprison him, I obliged, but kept him so thoroughly bedded he couldn't even walk straight afterward. Eventually, when the system witnessed the Omega, teary-eyed and flushed, lying pliant in my arms, begging to be used again, it let out a shriek of pure despair. "You bastard! What the hell did you do to my protagonist?" I answered, calm and steady, like a seasoned veteran of web fiction. Crying from pain or crying from pleasure, it's still tears. That's how it works in our world. Welcome to History Channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. The voice of the system echoed stiffly in my head. Host, the protagonist Omega joined a school activity without the original alpha's permission. He even had dinner with classmates. According to the plot, you must release your alpha pheromones to oppress him and punish him severely with a whip. I rubbed my temples, exasperated. God help me, transmigrating into web novels was all the rage these days, and even an innocent reader like me couldn't escape it. One second I was hiding under my blanket reading smutty fiction, the next I blinked, and bam, I had transmigrated. Not just into any novel, but into an ABO redemption story, as the villainous Scum alpha, Evan Lawrence. Even better, I was now bound to some goddamn character-playing system. In the original book, Evan Lawrence was a polished, gentle alpha on the surface. But underneath, he was a manipulative, sadistic control freak. He forcefully marked the protagonist Omega Martin Anthony before his glands had even finished developing, coaxed him into marriage while he was still in school, and then locked him in a gilded cage. Evan controlled him in every way: emotionally, financially, psychologically. He beat him bloody in the basement just for chatting with classmates. He publicly released photos of him in bed when Martin expressed the desire to take on a part-time job, causing such a scandal that Martin had to drop out. Eventually, he simply locked Martin in the house like a pet. No crying. No noise. Not even standing without permission. By the end, Martin was a ghost of himself, mentally broken, wrists slashed. The Scum alpha had no choice but to send him to the hospital. That was where Martin met the real alpha lead, a warm, gentle man who began his salvation. And my mission? To drag Martin through every circle of hell. Break him. Wreck him. Only then would he be worthy of being saved. Please complete your task, host, or face severe punishment. The system nagged again when I didn't move. My headache flared. For F***K's sake, I was just a rule-abiding web novel reader, not some destined villain. Sure, I'd read plenty of spicy stuff, but in my heart, even when you make someone cry, it should be from pleasure, not this twisted crap. I didn't know what kind of punishment the system had in store. So while I cursed it out internally, my body obediently followed orders. And just like an idiot, I stood in front of a mansion door, face dark, arms crossed, glaring down the road, recreating the scene from the novel where Evan's mere presence made Martin tremble in fear. That was exactly what Martin saw when he came home. A tall, imposing alpha leaning against the doorway, eyes shadowed, lips pressed in a thin line. He flicked a lighter on and off absent-mindedly, radiating a foul mood. Martin froze. The warning rang in his ears: never linger outside without permission. Consequences would follow. His heart clenched. Legs unsteady, he forced himself to step forward, lips trembling. "Sir." What I saw, though, was a beautiful, slightly delicate Omega. Porcelain skin, delicate brows, soft lips. Stunningly pretty, but with a strangely clean, untouched air about him. Damn, no wonder he was the lead. He was a born husband. A thought popped into my head. The system only cared about results, not the process, right? That meant I had wiggle room. As long as I played the part well, I could ad-lib a little. Besides, they dumped me into a scum role out of nowhere. I should be the one asking for emotional damages. Since that's off the table, I guess this gorgeous protagonist Omega is my consolation prize. Martin just stood there, stiff as a statue after saying, "Sir." I decided to take the lead. I reached out and pinched his chin, forcing him to meet my eyes. Omegas were naturally slender, especially when compared to an alpha like me. From my angle, I could see every twitch of his thick eyelashes, every flicker of fear in his pretty eyes. So pretty. His lashes were so long. His lips were red and soft-looking, practically begging to be kissed. "Martin Anthony," I said slowly, "I'm in a very bad mood today." I pursed my lips, looking up at the Omega in front of me with exaggerated, wounded grievance. The words were the same as in the original book, but coming from my mouth now, they didn't sound angry at all. They sounded like a lover sulking for attention. The Omega in my arms trembled and quickly stammered out an apology. "Sir, I'm sorry. The department had an event today. After we finished the work, everyone grabbed dinner together to get familiar. I didn't mean anything else. I shouldn't have gone without your permission. I'm sorry." I realized just how anxious Martin Anthony was. Quietly, without a trace, I released a wave of alpha-calming pheromones and lowered my head, brushing the bridge of my nose gently against his forehead. "I'm not actually angry at you. I was busy with company matters. I didn't even rest at noon. I came home early on purpose, even brought your favorite little cakes. But who knew that when I got home, you were gone?" The place I rubbed tingled softly. The familiar scent of the alpha, my scent, thickened in the air. Martin's ears started heating up, his mind turning to mush. His stutter worsened, and all he could manage was a string of breathless apologies. Of course, the whole thing about the cakes was a complete lie. But I'd always been the type to push my luck. And facing a soft, marshmallow-like Omega like Martin, I'd push even more. "All those little cakes? I ate every one of them. You're not getting a single bite." "Okay. And since I waited for you for so long, you're going to make it up to me tonight. You'll listen to what I say." "Okay." Hearing his soft agreement made the corner of my lips curl upward. I pulled off my tie and gently covered his eyes with it, then took his smooth, obedient hand and led him straight into the basement. "System," I said later, "you're not watching me when I shower, right? That'd mean you saw everything." "Rest assured, host. The system has no interest in your privacy. Headquarters maintains strict regulations. When the main system detects inappropriate content, it will automatically activate blackout mode, commonly known as the little dark room." With that confirmation, I finally relaxed. I showered thoroughly. The original Evan Lawrence had taken excellent care of his body, daily workouts, strict discipline. Even though he was a few years older than Martin, he had a stunning physique. And once he put on a suit, smooth lines, tailored fit, broad shoulders, narrow waist, long legs, firm hips. Just standing there quietly was enough to steal the breath from anyone who looked. Humans were visual creatures. A beautiful package made everything twice as effective. So I styled my hair, chose a well-fitted suit, and even picked out a pair of red-soled leather shoes. Once I was sure there wasn't a single flaw left on me, I headed slowly toward the basement. Inside, Martin sat exactly where I'd left him. His fingers curled nervously, but the tie still covered his eyes. Unable to see, all his other senses were hyper-alert. Suddenly, the scent of rich wine reached his nose. From somewhere nearby came a faint tapping sound. "Sir? Is that you?" No one answered. His tension climbed. Then, in the next second, warm lips sealed over his before he could finish his question. Something cold and hard traced slowly across his skin, familiar, terrifying, inevitable. The kiss left him breathless, dizzy, cheeks burning, chest rising and falling in frantic rhythm. Instinctively, he reached up to push me away, but his wrists were caught. He married for this long and he still didn't know how to breathe through a kiss. Out of kindness, I finally let his lips go. A thin strand of silver connected our mouths, and seeing it sent a rush of excitement through me. Oh! The system only managed one syllable before going silent. Probably thrown into the little dark room. I took Martin's hand and wiped the dampness from the corner of his mouth. He blushed scarlet but, intimidated by the original Evan's reputation, only pressed his lips together in aggrieved silence. "Don't be in such a hurry to pout," I murmured. "We're not done tonight." I'd studied the whip thoroughly when it arrived. Maybe not a master, but close. After all, I was a proper web novel writer. Using a whip on the protagonist? A task was a task. But how I completed that task, the system didn't get a say. By the time we were done, Martin Anthony was flushed, sweating, panting uncontrollably, his entire body trembling, glistening, pliant in my arms. He didn't even mind the filth, just lay limp on the floor, boneless, whimpering like a pup begging for mercy. "Sir, please no more. I really can't take it. Please, help me." I coldly dodged Martin Anthony's desperate grasp, not letting him touch me. Then, as if rewarding a pet, I gently ruffled his hair, voice warm and pleased. "No can do. Little pup, look up. A good husband should be presentable in public and capable in private." But that was just the baseline. To truly be qualified, one had to know how to tend to his partner and soothe him afterward. Since I was the one who'd left Martin's legs trembling, naturally I had to take responsibility. That evening, I carried him back to the bedroom myself. I gave him a proper, fragrant bath, then used a warm towel to gently press over his swollen eyes. Only after that did I dress him in a soft, cotton pajama set and tuck him into the bed. "Sir, I shouldn't be sleeping here. Please let me go. I can walk on my own." Martin Anthony felt like he was being slow-roasted. The previous version of Evan had been terrifying, yes, but at least he'd followed a pattern Martin could handle. But this one? This one left him completely off balance. Unpredictable. Intimate. Martin tried his best to speak calmly, but I gave him no reply. He reached out to push against me, but his palms landed against my chest, firm and unyielding, like stone. Nothing budged. Watching him push like a kitten trying to scratch an itch made my heart melt. But I knew better. At this stage of the novel, Evan's obsessive control had just begun to surface. Martin may have looked quiet on the outside, but he was far from at ease. In truth, he feared me, rejected me. If it weren't for the permanent bond of a marked omega, he would have long since run away. Reluctantly, I gave up the idea of sleeping in his arms. I tucked him in properly, rolling him into a neat little bundle of blanket. I patted his cheek gently. "Be good. I won't touch you tonight. Get some rest." I lay down on the other side of the bed, tilting my head just so it rested against his shoulder. I fell asleep to the sweet scent of his omega pheromones. The original Evan had been a responsible CO. Up early every day. Focused. Diligent. But me? I was just a lusty, lazy, money-hungry fool. So I slept like a rock till almost 10 in the morning. When I finally opened my eyes, the first thing I saw were Martin's. Right. Alert. Watching. He'd probably been awake for a while, eyes completely clear. Still in bed? Was my husband trying to tempt me into a lazy cuddle session? I was more than willing. If Martin asked, I could happily spend another half a day in bed. Grinning, I reached out and ruffled his soft, fluffy hair. "Morning, sweetheart." Martin flinched at the sudden movement, neck shrinking back instinctively. But once he realized what I was doing, his ears turned red in an instant. It had been a long time since the alpha touched him like this. Gently, casually, affectionately. Ever since he'd refused to give up his college dreams to stay home and take care of Evan, the man's attitude had grown cold. Even violence had become common. But this kind of closeness? Martin couldn't even remember the last time it happened. The unprompted tenderness rang all the wrong alarm bells in his head. But as a fully marked omega, Martin's future was already chained to the alpha beside him. He had no choices left. Before he could think further, a warm breath brushed his sensitive ear. Fingers poked playfully at his earlobe, teasing, insistent. "Sweetheart." I drew the word out deliberately. Martin shivered, bolting upright, scrambling to get out of bed. Sorry." I'll go make breakfast now. But in his panic, he forgot the very reason he hadn't gotten up sooner. Before he could escape, my long leg hooked around his waist and pulled him right back in. He landed with a bounce, rolling straight into my arms. "Baby, where's my good morning kiss?" I gave his waist a playful squeeze, and Martin gasped, arching up before he could stop himself. "I haven't brushed my teeth," he whispered. "I don't mind. But everyone else gets one. I want mine too. If you won't kiss me, then you don't love me anymore." Under my relentless coaxing, the Omega finally gave in. Not only did he give me today's kiss, he even made up for yesterday's, and the day before, and the day before that. If he hadn't reached the limit of emotional overload, I would have asked him to make up for last month too. When I finished washing up and stepped out, I found Martin Anthony already in the kitchen. He wore an off-white sweatshirt and light blue jeans, his long legs drawing the eye effortlessly. Sunlight streamed through the window, laying a soft golden sheen across his face, giving him an almost sacred gentleness, like a delicate jade deity carved by hand. I couldn't help thinking about the version of him from the novel. The Omega imprisoned in a basement, ankles broken, stripped of dignity, no longer human nor ghost. A boy who was beautiful, brilliant, admitted into the best university in the country, and still ended up crawling on the floor, begging for death. "Kill me, please kill me. I don't want to live anymore." He had been forced to whisper those words at Evan's feet again and again. But the Martin standing here now moved quickly, gracefully. In a short time, he had prepared a full spread of fragrant, colorful home-cooked dishes. I scooped 2 bowls of rice and sat at the table, chopsticks ready, then noticed he was still standing beside the table. "Why are you standing there spacing out? If you wait any longer, the food will get cold." I waved him over with bright enthusiasm. He didn't understand, but he still walked toward me obediently. Host, critical plot point triggered. Please force the protagonist Omega away from the table and warn him he is unworthy of eating with the original alpha. My hand froze midair. Oh great. Now the system wanted to reenact the worst parts. Martin was just about to sit down when the system panicked. "Warning! Warning! Complete the task immediately or punishment will activate." I tried negotiating. "Seriously? In this day and age? You still won't let him sit at the table? What are you, a reincarnated Qing Dynasty eunuch? And it's not like we don't have enough food. Just let him eat properly. Stop being ridiculous." The system remained silent, except for its constant flashing warnings. "Sweetheart, wait a moment," I said. Martin stopped again, obedient as always, amber eyes blinking in confusion. I shamelessly shoved my own bowl into his hands. "Feed me. I'll take care of your cooking today." His face went blank, returning to that lifeless calm. Of course he would think this was just another one of Evan's whims. Just another moment of pretend tenderness. Underneath it all, I was still the alpha who belittled him. The alpha who saw him as nothing. He had already grown used to serving people. So he silently followed orders. The food on the table smelled wonderful. His stomach grumbled despite his best effort to stay composed. He hadn't eaten much at the dinner yesterday, then endured the entire night, and now half the day had passed. Martin finished the rice in my bowl and ate a good portion of the dishes too. He was just about to clear the table when I seized his wrist. Something cold was pressed into his palm. "That's a membership card for the little private kitchen near your school. The food there's pretty good. I already added plenty of credit to it. Go try it for lunch. You've got class this afternoon anyway, right? You can swing by. And if you like it, bring your classmates too." Thank God the original Scum had memorized Martin's entire course schedule for the sake of controlling him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come up with this excuse in time. But that one sentence, that simple kindness, made Martin's eyes turn red instantly. He fought the tears back fiercely. "You don't like me going to school. Or talking to people. Why give me this? You want to see if I'll actually use it? Then when I do, you'll find some excuse to attack me? You'll force me to drop out? Lock me at home as a tool to satisfy you? Use your pheromones to crush me during my heats? This was the first time Martin had ever truly shown emotion in front of me. Ding. Host, please answer yes, and administer severe punishment to the protagonist Omega. And just like that, the system jumped out again. I was so done. If I could kick it into the next galaxy, I would. Under the suffocating pressure of the system, I took a deep breath. I pressed my lips against the Omega's soft ones, hands already wandering shamelessly. That damn system. I couldn't take it anymore. If taking it down meant going down with it, so be it. Screw your punishment. Enjoy your time in the blackout room. I'm sorry, I murmured in between kisses. Everything before was my fault. I won't do it again. I'll change, I swear. You want to study? Then study. You can go back to school, get your degree, even go to grad school if you want. If grad school isn't enough, get a PhD. As long as you want to learn, I'll support you. Forever. His lips were flushed and bitten pink, newly dressed clothes now rumpled beyond salvation, like he'd been doing anything but behaving. I want to make friends, he said hesitantly, and get a job. Of course you can make friends, I replied, still kissing him. But no part-time jobs. You don't need to suffer like that. I'm not broke. You don't have to waste your energy on exhausting work that teaches you nothing. I'll find you an internship. A real one. Sloppy kisses overlapped with the sound of lips parting and reconnecting, messy and loud. Martin Anthony didn't understand why I was discussing his future in the middle of making out. But the promises were so tempting, so seductive. Even if the alpha might have gone slightly insane, he figured showing a little sincerity wouldn't hurt. So the next time I moved in to kiss him, Martin kissed me back, clumsily, fiercely. We melted together, heat rising, lips locked like we'd been starved of each other for years. The poor system didn't stand a chance. It got shut into the little dark room again. Every time it tried to crawl out, I'd shove it right back in. System, please. Someone peanut for me. Save me. These past few days had been downright luxurious. The company was still up and running thanks to the original Evans' careful management. I only had to show up to sign documents now and then. And at home? I had a gorgeous, perfect husband. Well, perfect except for the look but don't eat clause. But otherwise, no complaints. As for the system's tasks? Oh, I was doing them. Diligently even. Just my way. Precisely, efficiently, with a touch of finesse. Not blindly but artfully. And if I ever got annoyed, a bit of yellow content was more than enough to throw the system back into lockdown. Life was sweet. I lounged on the living room recliner, watching the setting sun blaze across the sky, wondering when my darling husband would be home. Speak of the devil. Martin Anthony burst in like a gust of wind, dressed to the nines for some important school conference. White shirt, black slacks, a pair of fake glasses perched on his nose. He looked like a princeling straight out of a noble family. I'm home, he announced cheerfully, bouncing behind me. Close your eyes. Open your mouth. I obeyed. He popped something rich and overly sweet into my mouth. Chocolate. Too sweet. Sinfully so. A classmate's sister brought it back from overseas. It's amazing, he said, his voice full of delight. I saved you a piece. Just for you. As he babbled, his mischievous hand reached for my hair, trying to ruffle it. I swatted it away with a huff. When we first met, he'd been shy and reserved like a quiet little wife. But I'd apparently raised myself a high-energy husky. Full of energy. Never shuts off. I stretched lazily, but the corners of my lips still curved up. Honestly, I kind of liked it this way. Show off, I muttered. This chocolate is sweet enough to rot your teeth. You've already been up at night complaining about toothaches. Keep it up and you'll need dentures before 30. Martin, ever the little gremlin, shoved his icy hands down my collar. I caught them just in time, holding them warm in my palms. They're not your teeth. And I'm gonna keep eating, he said under his breath, pretending to pout. Even sneak some to school. Despite the sulking, he melted bonelessly against my shoulder like a cat satisfied with its nap. I used to worry Martin Anthony would fall into depression. Always encouraged him to go out more, make friends. Well, now he might have taken it a bit too far. Every evening he came home with some new snack, grinning like a golden retriever, excited to share. You got these from your classmates again? We take turns. But I'm always taking, and it feels wrong to not give anything back. I gave you my bank card, didn't I? Next time, buy more and return the favor when you can. I frowned slightly but still reminded him gently. I didn't quite get why kids these days were so generous with things like this. But hey, it was just some snacks. If it made Martin Anthony happy, I wouldn't argue. To my surprise, the Omega shot me a mischievous look, elbowing me in the side. Wanna hear a secret? There's an alpha chasing after one of my friends. Naturally, he's trying to impress me too. I'm the closest person to her, so of course he has to win me over. Martin Anthony said it with an exaggerated wink, looking ridiculously pleased with himself. But something about it didn't sit right. From what I knew, Martin Anthony's reputation at school was solid, one of the best. And I didn't exactly scrimp on his lifestyle either. Everything from food to clothes was top tier. Even if he denied it, his taste had gotten damn picky. Those imported snacks he said were good? They weren't cheap. If an alpha was trying to woo someone, giving snacks made sense. Sharing with the Omega's friend? Sure. But sending them every single day? That was pushing it. I gave him a sideways glance, unimpressed. You sure that guy isn't actually eyeing my husband? Martin laughed and wrapped his arms around my waist. He wouldn't dare. I'm a married Omega, thank you very much. I even filled out my school forms as married. If he's ignoring all the pretty Omegas and gunning for me, he must be blind. Shameless. By now, any rose-tinted lens I had for Martin Anthony had been thoroughly shattered. I didn't even want to deal with him. I yanked his wandering hands off my waist and bundled him straight into the bathroom. If you don't want to get spanked, don't mess with me. You've been running around all day, you stink. If you can't wash up properly, go sleep in another room. Still, even after all that tough talk, I found myself dressing sharp the next morning. Sat myself prim and proper in my most expensive car, rolled down the window, and lifted my chin at Martin. Come on. Your husband's taking you to school today. Sure enough, the moment we neared the campus gate, I spotted him. An alpha boy, young and sunny-looking, waiting casually by the food stand where Martin passed every day. Outwardly, he wore a sports outfit like any laid-back jock. But my sharp eyes could tell. His hair was meticulously styled. Deliberately messy. Trying too hard. He even had a tiny ponytail at the back of his head. Neither A nor O. Just tacky. Suspicious as hell. Martin might not see it, but I sure did. And there he was, waving like a fool, smiling so wide you'd think he just won the lottery. I deliberately pulled the car up real close to the kid. Martin tried to slip away the second he stepped out. I caught him by the wrist and yanked him back. With a grumble, I smacked his butt. I told you to get up early and look at you now, your collar's all tucked in like a mess. Naturally, I reached over and tugged the collar out, fingers brushing against the nape of his neck. He shivered at the touch. Hey, don't touch that spot, it tickles. When I finished fixing him up, he leaned into me with a grin, grabbing my arm and half dragging me toward the wannabe alpha. This is my husband, Evan Lawrence, he said proudly. The one I've told you about. The boy's jaw was so tight I thought his teeth might crack, but he still forced a polite smile. Ah, Mr. Lawrence. You really keep yourself looking young. Huh. What a clown. Trying to insult me through a backhanded compliment? So what if I'm older? A vintage Ferrari is still a Ferrari. My husband's young and he's mine. Not yours. Ding. Critical plot point triggered. Please distribute photos of the protagonist Omega and begin a school rumor. I smiled with elegance and charm. Saw a few nosy classmates hiding by the corner. Perfect. I leaned in and kissed Martin softly on the forehead. Martin Anthony is still young. He hasn't experienced much in life. He's pure-hearted. I hope you'll all look out for him at school. With that, I turned on my heel and strolled away. As expected, the post of us together went viral within hours. Why wouldn't it? I paid handsomely to make sure of it. Post the Omega's pictures, heavy checkmark. Start some rumors, heavy checkmarks, heavy checkmark. Child's play. Shocking. School heartthrob turns out to be a one Omega man, loyal to his older husband. Wild puppy and his daddy husband. What the campus hunk isn't telling you. Rumors? Heavy checkmark. Slander? Double heavy checkmark. Life had settled into a peaceful rhythm. So peaceful, in fact, I often forgot I was technically the male lead of a steamy serialized web novel. But Martin Anthony? He'd clearly been spoiled too much. No shame left whatsoever. We used to at least have boundaries. Same bed, sure, but separate blankets. Now this shameless brat would kick his own quilt to the floor and worm his way toward me in the dead of night. New, I wanna be under yours. It's warmer. And it's all soft and fuzzy and smells like you. He'd aim his cold little toes right for my stomach, wriggling around until they found a way in. His pheromones, sweet and thick, poured out from the back of his neck like a faucet left running. I coughed, dizzy from the scent. Martin Anthony, I groaned. Get a grip. Turn that damn pheromone tap off. But he ignored me completely. After what felt like wrestling a baby seal, he finally buried himself in my arms, head resting right on my chest, arms looped lazily around my neck. Then, because of course he did, he blew warm breath over my collarbone, eyes round and innocent as he purred. Babe, what are you implying? That I'm getting too old? Can't keep up anymore? Damn it. This little gremlin had no survival instinct. My stomach tensed. And well, other parts too. He thinks I'm some declawed kitten? With one quick twist of my waist, I flipped him underneath me, pinning him in one smooth motion. If you can't handle me tonight, I warned darkly, I'm never sharing a bed with you again. Let's go, husband. He smacked my cheek playfully, laughing like he hadn't just sealed his doom. That night, I carried all 100+ pounds of Martin Anthony everywhere. Up the stairs. Down to the kitchen. Back to the bedroom. Onto the couch. Every damn surface in the house. My encyclopedic knowledge of NSFW material came in handy. I had a whole arsenal of techniques. And I used every last one. Martin was sobbing, breathless, gasping. I really can't. I'm gonna die. You're murdering your own husband, you brute. He bit down on my shoulder in retaliation, leaving a toothy imprint. But if I so much as winced, he'd immediately lean in to kiss it better, puffing warm air over the spot like a little medic. It melted my heart, but not enough to make me stop. By the time morning came, Martin was clinging to me like an octopus. The second I shifted, he latched tighter around my leg. You bastard, he whimpered. My back hurts. My ass hurts. And it's all your fault. You're not allowed to go anywhere today. You're staying home with me. I'm calling out of class. No, out of the whole damn week. He bared his teeth at me in mock threat, looking so ridiculous it was almost criminal. Is that all you've got? I gave his ass a light smack. He yelped and flinched, curling up with wide, accusing eyes like I'd betrayed him. No, absolutely not. Don't even try. Was I really that much of a monster? I didn't think I'd traumatized him that badly. At this point, the plot had completely gone off the rails. I couldn't even look at it straight anymore. Sometimes I wondered, was it something about how I transmigrated? Maybe I landed sideways and jumbled the setting. How else could Martin Anthony, originally a tragic, elegant protagonist, turn out like this? No shame. No filter. Hopeless at everything, addicted to teasing me. Every time he fluttered over like a moth to a flame, he ended up sobbing, swearing never to touch me again. And still, he always came back for more. The next morning, he was back again. Same innocent face, soft voice, shamelessly cozying up to me. Woof woof, he chirped. Your puppy is reporting for duty. Unbelievable. Even in the original book's late chapters, Martin Anthony was still portrayed as shy, reserved, flinching at every touch. But my version? This version had no breaks. That night, when I couldn't sleep, I cracked open one eye and caught sight of him kneeling beside the bed, looking forlorn. He leaned in, resting his forehead lightly against my chest, as if that tiny contact could fill some kind of void. "I know you're not Evan Lawrence," he whispered, voice shaking. "But you're the one I've always liked. Don't leave me. Or, if you have to go, just stay a little longer. I haven't had enough of you yet. One day, I want to be able to say your real name out loud. Husband." And that's when I realized he had known all along. The fact that I was never the original Evan. The lies I thought I'd buried deep. He knew. But because he loved me, he never asked. He couldn't. Because there was a silent countdown ticking in the background, and every day was one step closer to goodbye. So he clung harder. Took more. Gave more. Hoping that maybe, through all that closeness, he could keep me just a little longer. I couldn't run anymore. Didn't want to. Screw the damn system. Whatever punishment it had planned, I'd take it. I wasn't going to live a lifetime in half-truths with the person I loved. I opened my eyes and pulled Martin Anthony into my arms, holding him close enough to feel his heartbeat against mine. "Ivan Lawrence," I said quietly. "Ivan." His smile bloomed like sunrise. He rubbed his nose against mine, eyes bright. "Ivan Lawrence, my husband, I love you." Whatever stubborn ache had been clinging to my chest vanished in an instant. I lay there, quietly beside him, waiting for the system to drop the hammer. Then came the cold, flat voice of judgment. Host Ivan Lawrence, found to be derelict in duty. Task performance incomplete. Punishment: you will remain in this world permanently. You will never return home. My fingers clenched the bedsheet tightly. But not out of grief. I was thrilled. Overjoyed. Did these systems not run background checks before binding people? I was a loner. No family. No place to call home. Martin Anthony was home. Extra, Martin Anthony's inner thoughts. My alpha's been acting weird lately. The way he looks at me, it's suspicious. It makes my back break out in a cold sweat. Is he about to beat me again? I can't fight him. But hey, I've got a decent pain tolerance. I'll survive. Probably. Panic. He dragged me into the basement. Blindfolded me. Pitch black. I could hear the snap of a whip slicing through the air. The click of leather shoes on the floor. I couldn't breathe. Why doesn't the whip hurt? Why does it feel kind of tingly? My legs feel like jelly. My ears are on fire. What is happening to my body? Did he poison me with pheromones? I tried to resist. Resistance failed. You know what? Forget it. I'll just lie down and take it. The end.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.